Well, the World Tamil Movement styles itself as a non-profit humanitarian organization. Today, the federal government ended that fiction, adding the WTM to Canada's list of known terrorism groups. Banks have been instructed to seize the WTM's assets, and across the country, security forces are watching very closely as WTM members go about their daily business. In just a few minutes, we'll be speaking to the Minister of Public Safety, Stockwell Day, and to Colin Freeze, who's a terrorism expert with the Globe and Mail. Colin, the Minister said that the WTM was declared a terrorist group based on the belief that it has participated in or facilitated terrorist activity. When the Minister announced that today, what was he really talking about?
Well, it's no secret, Mike, that the World Tamil Movement has been under investigation for over 2 years. Shortly after the Conservatives designated the Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka a terrorist organization, the World Tamil Movement offices were raided in Toronto and Montreal. Since then, the RCMP has released hundreds of pages of detailed allegations that basically the WTM was a front group that got money off the streets from refugee communities in Toronto and Montreal and funneled the money to Sri Lanka for the guerrillas there.
So this would be like somebody coming to your door and saying, I'm collecting for this charity. What happened to people of Tamil descent in Toronto and in other Canadian cities when or if they refused?
There's a fairly active and ongoing debate about whether this fundraising amounted to extortion or whether it was voluntary. What is known, according to the RCMP evidence, is that the Tamils who went back to Sri Lanka who didn't kick in for the cause would find themselves known to the Tamil Tigers, and they would try to extract money from them there. There was a lot of pressure put on the local community here to, as I said, kick in for the cause. There are a few instances of people going public with complaints of extortion, but those are fairly rare. Certainly nobody was ever charged criminally with extortion in Canada.
Colin, let me ask you to stand by for a second, and we'll bring the Minister in here. They seem to have put out a pretty good story, Mr. Minister, that they're just seeking voluntarily. Privately, what kind of reports were our security forces getting about the kind of persuasive methods that were used? When does it cross the line from being persuasion to extortion?
Well, it is a fine line, Mike, but I can tell you that we have accounts of people who let us know that they feel the pressure is very real, and in some cases, some particular areas of a neighborhood, for instance, it's almost set up like a tax collection system where you automatically give, and if you don't, there could be repercussions. What some of them find is when they go back to visit their country of origin back in Sri Lanka and in the area, there are lists that are kept of people who are giving, people who are not giving, which can limit their travel, which can cause them to be subject to various things taking place. So it's
this
significant.
money, which they claim is being used for humanitarian purposes, is being used to buy weapons, arms, and so on?
There's enough evidence that it's been amassed now. It's sort of the RCMP and our different investigative security forces do the work incrementally, gaining more and more evidence so that they can bring us to a time like today when we can actually list this group as a terrorist group. That has to stand up if it's challenged. And any group that is listed as a terrorist entity, they do have the right to challenge it. They can take that to a court and have it appealed. So I can tell you the evidence is significant that these funds are going to the World Tamil Movement, and funds are being channeled to terrorist activities. We know that just since the beginning of 2008, the first 6 weeks alone of 2008, in Sri Lanka, there was over 106 people. These are innocent citizens who are killed, railway stations and in public places. That's called terrorism, and we can't have Canadian dollars flowing out to assist in any way that kind of activity.
Now, there seems to be a debate about whether they're humanitarian or terrorist, because after all, here we had two senior Liberals, Maria Minna, who was a member of the cabinet, Paul Martin, who was a senior member of the Chrétien government. They both went and spoke and endorsed these people at a Tamil dinner, despite the fact that CSIS had said, oh, we think you should stay away. Have we now got more evidence than obviously they had? Because presumably they wouldn't want to have anything to do with a terrorist organization, but they were there, had their pictures taken, the whole 9 yards. So do you now know more than they knew?
We know as much as, and we know more since then because we've put more resources into our intelligence agencies and into our security agencies. That was an area that the previous government largely was neglectful of. But when you have your intelligence people coming to you and saying, stay away from this event, or the money from that event is going to go to fundraising of terrorism, then you have to ask yourself, why would you attend if your security services are giving you ample evidence that you shouldn't be going? And we're going to continue to monitor and to freeze these assets.
So it wasn't that they didn't have evidence back then?
I'll just say again, if you have your intelligence agencies, CSIS for instance, which you are funding as a government, and CSIS people are coming and telling you that there are terrorist elements involved in that fundraising, then to me it's just unwise to be ignoring, why would you even have your intelligence groups doing the work if you're going to ignore them? That's very dangerous to do, and we're not going to be part of that.
Now, in your news conference today, you specifically reached out and thanked members of the Tamil community for coming forward. How much of that is going on? How much is this group feeling under the thumb of these radicals, and they're looking for our help and protection?
Well, Mike, there are ongoing investigations, so I don't want to get into a whole lot of detail, but I can tell you there's enough that make us realize that there's a community that the vast majority of these people have come to Canada to get away from oppression, to get away from terrorism, the very types of things that they wanted to get away from, to come to Canada to be free of, they now face from certain radical members from within their own community. And it's kind of a tragic irony that the things they were trying to escape from and come to Canada to a degree they face when they get here. The Tamil community has built their communities, they've built this country in almost every area of endeavor. And like any other citizens, they deserve to be protected, and that's what we're doing.